And as a Manchester United fan, I said something earlier on. Now you know, right, I'm positive and slightly deranged. And I've never not been, okay? And every single Manchester United game we go into, I say, I think we're going to get the win. I think we could be lucky, right? Apart from what happened on Monday night, I said, we're going to get tanked. And look what happened. But to be fair, this game is massive because it's continuing that momentum for Manchester United. Casemiro likely to be getting into the squad as well. This is a big one, isn't it, Darren?
Huge game, because I think if they lose this game, then Monday night was just a full storm. And that's what United fans are hoping is not the case. And United have been known to win games before. They've done it over the last, 2-3 years and then fallen apart in the subsequent few games. This is a tough game as well for United because they're up against a Southampton side in good form. Che Adams, 4 goals in the last 2 games. Southampton themselves have won their last 2 and drawn the other. They did lose their first game of the season away at Tottenham quite heavily, but since then they bounced back in some style. So if United are not at it, and let's bear in mind Liverpool played several levels below what we have now become accustomed to expect from them over the last couple of seasons. So was that the real Liverpool? No. Was that the real level of Man United? Who knows? I'm not sure. I'm not convinced at the moment. I'm going to need to see another good performance before I start to get convinced.
Why are you not convinced of that?
For precisely the reasons I said. Liverpool, their midfield is all over the place. Their defending was quite poor. Okay, they were all right in attack, but in the other areas of the park, they just weren't the same players. They just didn't play to the levels that we've come to expect from them. So I think the result might well have flattered Manchester United a tiny bit. I'm not saying that they don't deserve credit for turning up for work.
Shady.
Because that's what they did, really, isn't it? They turned up for work.
Yeah, they did. Right. They did what we've been looking for Manchester United to do for quite some time.
We've all grown up watching Man United sides that don't just turn up for work, but they work you off the pitch. Haven't we?
Yeah.
And in the first 2 games of this season, they've been outworked by Brentford and they've been outworked by Brighton. Last season, time and again, you can name any number of teams they were outworked by. And on Monday night, they actually turned up and actually put some pride into what, the hallowed shirt of Manchester United.
And for a very brief spell of time, all of our problems melted away. It really did feel like that. It was it felt special. It felt right. Do you know what I mean? I hope we'll be turning up for work now moving forward. And Southampton, based on that performance, and now knowing that you're possibly adding in, if Casemiro does get that start as well, adding to that side, what does this mean for Manchester United moving forward?
Do you know what? I would argue Casemiro would start because it's not like he's not fit. He's a brilliant football player, great holding midfield player, and somebody that's a serial winner. He's used to winning. He's used to being around amazing football players, dictating and dominating play, and everybody working hard together. So I actually think, looking at the starting 11 from the last game, it will be pretty much the same again, but with Casemiro instead of McTominay in that holding position. I think you're making this hard for me because you're telling me to praise Manchester United.
God, it's 9 and these 2 are firing all cylinders. We get brave.
Look, to be honest with you, there were so many aspects, so many elements of that game that fell perfectly into the trap Manchester United was setting. Every single one of those players wanted it more than the Liverpool players. Dominated. I like Malaysia.
Yeah.
The left back. He sort of reminds me a little bit of Evra. Patrice Evra a little bit. There are little
early days.
Little elements of it. But you could clearly see that there were conversations that had been had behind the scenes in training about work ethic, about sprints. The Brighton game, I think Man United didn't have, they had maybe 50 or 55 sprints, high intensity sprints. That's going flat out, full on, closing players down or trying to get away from them. Against Liverpool, I think it was upwards of 150. Now that stat by itself, isolated, you think to yourself, well, do you know what? Maybe they're just up for that individual game. But then you look at all the other stats that go with it as well, in terms of their overall distance covered and all of these little things. You put them together and you say the work ethic of Ten Hag and what he's doing behind the scenes, it's sort of falling into place, and it's starting to build that that Manchester United fear factor that we became accustomed to seeing in the 90s and 2000s, that sort of era.
Listen, I wouldn't go as far as a fear factor just yet. I think that,
no, not just yet. It's really early days.
Yeah, we're agreed on that. I think it's going to take a while for that fear factor. I think Southampton will
another
still
10
fancy
years.
their chances. Another 10 years.
Martinez, the butcher, as he's known as, was chopping people up all over the place on Monday night. But Darren, have you got concerns over him against the likes of Southampton?
Yeah, I do. I think they'll pull him out of position. I think that they'll get balls into the box and see if he's able to deal with some physicality. I don't think Liverpool gave them enough. I actually think to a certain extent Liverpool showed United too much respect as well.
I think
so. I know obviously Jurgen had a few things to say about certain people who thought it would be fairly easy for him, and he was quite keen to send that message out. Which actually was quite fascinating, because I think it was very obvious to everybody that what United were not doing and what Liverpool were very good at. But maybe, as we've come to see, he'd been thinking of the deficiencies in his midfield that could be exposed as they were. I think as far as Southampton are concerned, though, they'll give United a game at St Mary's. The fans will demand it. The players will be up for it. I think Martinez, I don't think he'll get things all his own way. I think Che Adams at the moment is in such a fantastic form.
Great form.
He's on fire.
Elyounoussi as well is going to be, in his face and in and around it. Nathan Redmond, they've got so many players who can give them some problems if they're not at it and they're still patting themselves on the back for Monday night.
With 7 days to go in the transfer window, Darren, the man in the know, I'm keen to hear more about Ajax. We were speaking, and Anthony, because we were speaking about the price on players at the moment as well. It's looking about 94 million if they get Anthony. So I'm wanting trees pulled up here, there and everywhere.
Who's that? Anthony and who? Who else is coming for that price?
Well, they're also looking. Is it links to is it Gakpo? Is that?
Yeah,
is it
Cody Gakpo. Yeah.
Who, which makes me actually question how United will line up if both those players come in for the prices that they would be. What that would mean for Jadon Sancho and Marcus Rashford, who were brilliant on Monday night. But anyway, that's a story for another time. But with 7 days to go, what's the likeliness of Anthony coming in from Ajax?
Very high. I've got to say, he wants to come. He's a good player. He's 22 years of age. He's versatile. He can score goals. He can't fly and he can't see through walls. So I'm not sure why he's going to cost.
Do you know that for sure?
Well, indeed, with £94 million, you might expect him to. But he's trying to force this move. He's doing a Wesley Fofana at his club. He's made it very, very clear to his club that he wants them to listen to what United have got to say. So there is a deal to be done there, and I think it will be done. The Gakpo, I'm not as convinced by, because Ruud van Nistelrooy has made it very clear that he's not keen to sell him. He's still made a huge contribution to the clubs. Okay. Last season, lots of goals, lots of assists. He started this season in the same vein as well. And so I think as far as Ruud van Nistelrooy is concerned, he will fight tooth and nail to keep him, but Anthony wants to come, and I think that deal will be done by the early part of next week.
I don't know much about Anthony in terms of his overall gameplay. I don't know if you do. I'm going to ask you a question based on your knowledge of him. Sorry to put you on the spot. The transfer fee that's being reported, what is it, 94 million? I think it was. What would you say would be a sensible price for him? Because that just seems crazy to me.
I think it's a really good question.
Considering, like you say there, you don't know much
about him. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is, if you buy him, you're going to tie him to a fairly long-term contract, because he's only 22.
Like a Chelsea one, a 6-year.
But yeah. Very likely, because you're investing in him. You're investing in his ability to adapt to English football, to improve, to make sizable contributions to the team, to the squad. And to the manager's master plan. The manager knows him very well indeed, far more than us. Yeah. I think his price tag is a combination of United's desperation,
naturally,
the timing of the window, the position that Ajax are in, that they don't have to sell. There are lots of different factors.
Does he play off the left or the right? Do you know?
I'm
The
not sure
left.
what his best position actually is.
The
because
right.
he's
Off the right.
no. Well, I say that because I think that he has operated on both wings.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's done well on both.
So he's versatile then.
So he's very versatile.
Right,
That's
right,
my
right.
point. He's very versatile, and I think that it would give Ten Hag options if he were to come. The one thing that does strike me is that very slowly we're seeing that this is morphing into his side.
But I kind of like it when a manager comes in and then knows exactly who they're looking for what it is they want to do.
Yeah.
I agree with all of this, but the thing that strikes me, Shaban, is that why have United waited this long to do all of this? Why have they not made these calls sooner? Why did they start the season with Maguire as captain? Why did they not sort out Ronaldo leaving the club? Pay him off, move him on, so that you don't have this circus around him wanting to go and all these clubs saying yes or no, whatever, and you're not getting held over a barrel for Gakpo, for Anthony, right at the end of the window, because both those clubs know how desperate you are to bring them to your football club.